You are here because the outside world rejects you.
My calculations are correct. Killers do some serious shit.
Shall we play a game?
I'm a nerd. Pretty proud of it.
Learn it, know it, live it.
There it is. All right. Welcome to the podcast of pain. This is episode 45. Right? Yeah. Top. I don't know. I'm playing around with the title still. Fuck it. I'll probably change it in post. But we're going to be talking about fighting games today. What stands out to you? More to the point, once I'm joined by my guest host, we're going to be speaking on the specifics of a fighting game. Let's go ahead and get that up there. Let's go ahead and get this up here so I can start reading. Fighting games, man. We all love fighting games, right? Frustrated. I think they changed the temperature of the room really fucking fast. If you had like a sleepover, if any of you remember arcades, holy shit. So I was in the car with my daughter. Little Pipes. She's a goddamn handful, I tell you what. She called me old. She inadvertently called me old, and she definitely very specifically called me fat. So, I don't remember how we got on we were passing by Log Cabin, which is now a party store. It used to be a video store, Log Cabin Video, owned by the Keys family. And I told her, I pointed it out, and I told her, like, that used to be a video store. She was like, "What's a video store?" I'm like, "You're a fucking twat. A video store is where you would rent movies for a low price and watch it as many times as you wanted to in like 3 or 4 days and then take it back." Well, that's stupid. Why don't you just buy the movie? I mean, it's basically like Netflix without having to go anywhere anymore. But whatever. All right, in the wings here, hailing from, I don't remember the fuck he lives at. I'm just gonna say I try to be cool about it. El Taco.
What up, though?
Hey, what up, man? How's it going today?
Got a day off. It's great.
Fucking A's. Great. So
Thank God for Europeans invading our country.
what is the holiday? Stamp Day? I don't even know what the day is. I don't even care.
It's technically Columbus / Indigenous People Day.
Okay. All right. Cool. Usually working at the post office, man, I have no idea when those holidays are coming up. I'm just glad we get those random ass. And they're making new ones like Juneteenth. I appreciate getting that off. I have no idea. I don't
You better, you're
do
black.
anything, but ish. I choose when I wake up what I'm representing in the day.
Well, there should be a holiday for assholes.
Oh, it is. There is. Isn't that
My birthday.
You too? Awesome shit. All right. Today we're talking about fighting games. And I wasn't really specific as like favorite fighting games or impactful fighting games or just fighting games in general. So I guess I'll just leave it to whatever we have on our list, whatever we pop up with. First, let's talk some wrestling, man. So it looks like your boy Danhausen's coming back pretty soon.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I was he injured or did he? Okay. I have
He
no
was
idea.
injured. Yeah, he was injured. I think. Fuck. It was an arm
He was
injury of some sort.
being too evil. Being too evil, cursing too many people. That's what it is. He strained himself. We also got Jade Cargill in the WWE now at Fastlane. Walk me through some stuff that we missed on Fastlane. Well, that I missed because I didn't watch it.
Well, I mean, she popped up. She didn't do much but get out of the car, unless she did something while I was pissing.
I don't think so. I think it was just the whole. I think it was just the whole getting out of the car thing. They're just kind of introducing her, like, here's the new face. Let's see what she's gonna do, who she's gonna feud with. You said you don't watch much AEW, right?
I mean, overall, I gave the whole thing. Okay, so I mean, I do the same thing with WWE. Like, I mean, I won't give AEW like money for a pay-per-view.
Right.
But basically what I do is I look at the headlines the next day, see if there was something like worthwhile to actually like go back and watch.
Right.
Because I mean, both of them, like, there's plus and minuses to both of them. Like, there's like better wrestling, but very stupid long storylines in WWE. And there's no storylines in AEW, and they're killing each other. So
I mean, I guess day to day, I guess a broken clock is correct at least twice a day, right? Jesus Christ. Do you have any predictions or any hopes to see Jade Cargill? Anyone in particular you want to see her feud with?
actually, I want to see her work with a really good worker. Like, Natalia is a really good worker. Bailey's a really good worker. So I want to see what she can do with someone who can put up a match that she's not booked to squash. Because that's all she did in AEW is just come out, squash someone, and look good, basically.
Yeah, that was all Tony Khan.
So
I think that reads into part of why she left.
Yeah, the moment she was booked to lose, she's like, "Fuck it, I'm out." So, I want to see what she can actually do, because nothing has really proved whether or not she has a whole lot of like in-ring talent. So I want to see her work with someone that's going to show whether or not she's got that talent. I mean, she's got the look, 100%. But let's see if she's got the talent.
Absolutely. Because like there have been people in there that have had the body and they have no fucking coordination and they usually don't last very long.
Chris Masters.
I can remember. I think it was brackets. Yeah, all I could do was the one move, and it was an old school move. Jesus Christ! But legit, that'll take you out if you put it on right.
Yep.
Chris Masters, Brackus. Like, I don't even know if he made it to on TV, on screen debut. Shit, even Boogeyman got on fucking TV, man. Yeah, it was far back. It was like in the mid 90s, right around the beginning of the Attitude Era. But he left pretty quick. And that's the thing. Like, just because you have big muscles and big arms and shit doesn't mean you have the coordination to do a fucking full blown match. But whatever. God damn, what else is going on in the world of wrestling? Sick of Chris Jericho. Getting sick of
where were you going with that?
I'm just trying to pick through like the stuff I've seen that I'm just kind of like bored with. I've been listening to more wrestling podcasts, listening to corny bitch and moan about AEW relentlessly.
If you really pay attention, he
the only
bitches
problem
about
I have with Cornette
as much.
Yeah. But it's just like he's stuck in the old school era of pro wrestling. Like he never expected it to evolve. Like this whole rockin' wrestling, sports entertainment shit really fucking rubs his ass the wrong way.
Right.
God
Yeah, no,
damn.
in a sense, like, he needs to, like, not be so fucking old and, like, get off my lawn type of guy and realize, you know, things do
I mean, at
evolve.
the
I mean,
same time, I definitely appreciate his energy. You know, I mean, that's the fucking friend I could have used in elementary school, being the weird kid watching wrestling. You know, it's fake, right? Cornette would have come out of the fucking closet with a goddamn broom or something and whacked the kid in the mouth. I ain't like that. That ain't fake, fucker.
I mean, fundamentally, he's right about a lot of things. The storytelling, uh, the heels versus baby faces, and how to pair them off, but how critical he is about h- how much like the moves and stuff has evolved. It's like every sport. Like every generation, you have a generation of new athletes that have evolved from the previous ones. Like, I mean, the only real sport that I like is hockey, but they move faster, they're bigger, they hit harder, and it's not like it was back in like Gretzky's day. And he's just got to fucking deal with it. He's like the Don Cherry
Right.
of wrestling.
God damn it. God damn it. I do agree with him that I mean, because look at back in the day, you'd hit the tombstone pile driver and 1, 2, 3, it was over. But nowadays, you get people kicking out of people's finishes, and you have all these false finishes, and it just seems to mean a lot. And then the Cucamonga kids, man, Jesus Christ, he said it's a goddamn gymnastics meet in some regards, and he's right. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It has to evolve to keep going, get different, or it's going to get boring anyway.
100%. And
So
the false finishes and the length of matches now, like how much they drag them out. That's why, like, I like gave Fastlane like a B plus. Um, the John Cena LA Knight versus the Bloodline. Yeah, like how long they just had them beat the shit out of Cena, just like drug that out. I mean, I get
mm,
it. They were building up like, you know, oh shit, when Roman Reigns comes back, there's gonna be some problems because they're not getting along, and Jimmy Uso thinks he's the shit. However, everyone in that building wanted to see LA Knight whoop some ass. And
yeah,
it felt like they took a half an hour to like even like get him in the ring, and
yeah.
that was way too long.
Speaking of LA Knight, how do you feel about his persona and how I've heard rumor and speculation that it's basically just The Rock and Steve Austin.
I don't have a problem with it. I think that persona is a lot of what wrestling needs, because there's a lot of, I've said it before, there's a lot of big meaty men, and all their thing is, I'm just huge and I will fucking kick your ass and I deserve a title shot because I say so. Like, you need a cocky little bastard, you know? I mean, that was
Yeah,
one thing Jericho had going for him. Stone Cold, The Rock, just they had the, when they like took authority and said, you know what, I'm the shit and I'm gonna take whatever I want. Their attitude behind it backed it up, not just because I'm a big meaty man that says I'm going to.
right. Um, MJF. That's why I like MJF. I love
100%.
I love
He's
his
the
heel
best
persona.
heel in the business right now.
Yeah, and he's just started. I mean, this is only what like AEW's only been around 3 years, right? 2 years, 3 years, and he's still got a really long career ahead of him if he paces
100%.
himself.
I view the way he's starting off his character like young Triple H. Just
Okay.
if he can like keep on track I hate what's going on with him and Adam Cole. I think it's derailing him a little bit. But if he can just keep that persona on track and evolve, he's your next Triple H.
All right, I can fuck with that. Shit, I think that's about it. That's all I have to discuss for wrestling. What do you want?
There's Edge on AEW now.
I heard that floundered as fuck. So like the debut of CM Punk had such and such millions of viewers, and then when Edge debuted, it's like, all right, we got some people fucking with it, but mostly nobody cared.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people. I mean, it was the worst kept secret in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
CM Punk was worst kept secret in the world, but still, like, there was a break, like a 7-year break.
Yeah.
Like Edge didn't even take a break. Like, oh, he's going to AEW. But I think a lot of people view it the same way that I view it. Is they're waiting for that tragedy to happen now, because just like Bryan Danielson, Paige, Christian, all these guys have like broken neck issues, and
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why they left the WWE, because they were gonna protect them and say, no, we're not gonna let you fucking kill yourself or end up being paralyzed. AEW don't give a fuck. They'll drop you on your fucking head. Book you
Fuck
next
you,
show.
Tony Khan. Fuck Tony Khan. Fuck Chris Jericho. Fuck the Cucamonga kids, all them motherfuckers. I would like to see Kenny Omega perform a little bit more. I don't know. I kind of feel a little gypped that he was mostly in Japan for a really long time. We didn't get to see him a whole lot.
He is a pretty talented guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like he does play too much of a backseat to the Young Bucks.
Yeah. Maybe that's how he wanted it, though. Maybe that's what his part of his contract was: X amount of appearances, Y amount of performances, or whatever. Keep himself from getting injured as much as everybody else. Who knows?
I don't know. I know when he was off the last time, like he had a whole laundry list of injuries that he was just wrestling through. Maybe they're not all repaired yet.
Fair. Did you hear the interview done with Triple H about Edge departure to AEW? Did you hear any of that?
I believe I read something. I don't know.
Well, apparently, he doesn't have any bad blood with WWE. It was just time for him to go. He's pretty much accomplished everything that he had to accomplish in WWE. And, he didn't feel challenged enough anymore, I guess. He talked with The Undertaker, and Undertaker was pretty vocal and instrumental in his decision to go. But the whole neck injury thing is what bothers me. I can't wait for the program to really get going with Edge and Christian. I think that's probably going to be his last hurrah. They're probably giving him a couple of people to work with beforehand or during that time. But I think that's going to be it. That's going to be the Christian and Edge thing is going to be the one that gets people in.
Yeah, I don't know.
At the same time, what else can they really do at this point?
He very much so is coming across as a kid in a candy store. Like, oh my god, it feels like I'm back in the indies and I can do all this shit. And I think of all the stupid shit that happens, like Sting fucking like almost decapitated himself on that ladder and shit. Like, realize you're an old man with a broken neck, yo.
Oh man. Yeah, I keep wondering how much longer we're gonna see Sting in one piece, not all banged up like shit. He was calling it quits in WWE at one point. Who was the asshole that hurt him in WWE?
Seth Rollins.
Oh,
it was a bad buckle bomb.
All right. So you got a lot of careless motherfuckers over there. So hopefully Edge knows when to say when and gets the fuck out of there, enjoys his retirement.
What I don't want to see is Edge and Christian versus the Hardys.
I don't want to see that either. Absolutely not.
I don't want to see those broken down men who can't like I mean, Edge, he can actually perform at a high level, but the rest of them, no.
Mm-mm.
No.
All right, and before we get to the whole fighting game part of the show, what do you want to talk about next time on talking wrestling and tacos?
Oh.
I had a couple of small ones, like our favorite big men in the wrestling industry. Royal Rumble's going to come up the first of the year, I believe. If you have any ideas, nothing stands out besides that.
Mm,
We can always come back to it.
I'm hovering around like the greatest gimmicks,
All right, greatest as in how? Like
creative, like the most like Undertaker doesn't count.
oh, come on. That's what I was going for.
I
Well then, Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Great.
he's the ultimate gimmick.
Right. Man. All right. How far back do you think you're gonna go?
Well, we can go back as far as you want. I mean,
Well,
there's
yeah. I'm just saying, like yourself, like how far back does your wrestling fandom go?
well,
Man.
my like as I'm listening more to Corny and like hearing things, I mean, I'm going back further. But I mean, it could be from present to it doesn't matter. I think the success of the character matters.
Okay.
Like the creativity and the success of it.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's do what we did with Miss Elizabeth and the favorite women valets or whatever. Undertaker's at the top,
Yep.
automatically at the top. So we got to come up with a list from there. That'll be challenging. That'll be fun. Kind of reminisce. I think that's about it. Fuck Dave Meltzer.
I wanted to channel my inner Dave Meltzer when I was rating the with Fastlane and give it like 67 stars out of 80, but make up a number.
All right, that brings me up to another point that I think I'm going to start doing a segment on the show where I'm ranking pizza places or frozen pizza. I know it's going to be rough. I've been watching Dave Portnoy on YouTube where he goes all over the country. Oh, one bite, Frankie. Everybody knows the rules. He had John Cena on there, and they had two completely different score systems. So it's weird. Dave Portnoy ranks pizza kind of like a figure skating judge. John Cena like gave everything a fucking high 8 or high 9. It's just ass backwards. So I want to try and do some of that shit. I don't know how far I'll venture for pizza. I don't think I'll go any more than an hour because if it sucks, I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, there's a new frozen pizza that I've ran across that I really like. It's like Motor City Pizza or something.
All right, cool. That's on my list.
Yeah, I really like it.
Kevin Nash had mentioned he doesn't fuck with any frozen pizza other than the Paul Newman, and that sucked. It was $10. It wasn't anything special. So thanks, Kev, Dick. But yeah, Motor City Pizza's on my list. I think that's up next, and I'll tell you guys how it is when I get to it.
I like it. If you don't like it, fuck you.
Well, thank you. All right, man. We're talking fighting games. So we also discussed previously what constitutes a fighting game in your mind.
Well, it has to involve fighting.
Right.
I know you mentioned like what Double Dragon and whatnot,
Yeah.
but I was just thinking like like I know you said Punch Out's out. That's like the OG.
I just kind of feel like, well, when I think fighting games, I've always been synonymous with two player, like something that has a campaign where you can play it by yourself, but something where you can get
Yeah.
angry and break your little sister's neck because she got through mashing buttons. So I think that's the only reason I didn't include Punch Out, but like we've got a plethora of fucking wrestling games on my list
Oh yeah.
that are definitely on there. So
I think
UFC,
I think at least the two player, like you had to have the multiplayer option on there. Um, so if you're looking for a list from me, mine are kind of narrowly themed. I 100% am terrible at fighting games. I am a
okay.
button masher. Even like the wrestling, the wrestling ones, I can't fucking do combos.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, as far as like the wrestling games, I want to talk about ones that sucked ass, like WrestleMania on Nintendo. It was cool because we finally had a video game, a wrestling based video game, but it was horrible, man. Try and go and play that game now. You couldn't send your opponents off the rope. You could barely do top rope maneuvers. I don't think there were any finishing moves on that game. It was awful. They stepped it up in the next one, WrestleMania Challenge, which was a little bit better. You did have um, you did have finishing maneuvers. You could work around outside the ring a little bit. Man, Jesus. Well, let's say we got some guys on we got the Omega. I don't know who the fuck the Omega is. He says Street Fighter 2 on Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis is what started it for me. Nintendo Game Boy. Ugh, I don't remember playing any fighting games on Game Boy. WWF multiplayer was fun too. All right. I can fuck
So
with that.
let me ask a question.
All right.
As far as wrestling games, since we started off on that topic, which one do you think set the bar for you in future wrestling games?
Oh man, definitely the Nintendo 64 games. So that has WCW, NWO World Tour, which I didn't play very often. It was NWO, WCW Revenge, definitely. That was the one that got me to go get a Nintendo 64. My man, Yo Mega. Hold on a second. I'm writing that down really quick. We're gonna get to that too. So prior to that, my first what changed the game up for me was PlayStation had a WCW game with Sting on the front of the cover when he had just started being the Crow character. It was WCW versus the World, and it was manufactured by THQ. THQ carried me through a lot of wrestling games. Eventually, I think THQ, there's some branch of THQ that is responsible for the AEW Fight Forever game, which I still am really questionable about. I don't want to spend my own money to get that goddamn game at $60 and have it suck. But that WCW versus the World on PlayStation, it for me, it introduced me to the whole grapple system. So you had the weak, you had the medium, you had the super grabs, and you could do like every direction and push the action button. Get behind the guy, same thing. What else did that have? They had unlockable characters. They had a lot of characters that. This is what I loved about this game too. The roster was pretty awesome. You had your WCW guys. I think it had the Steiner brothers, Steven Regal, Sting, Ric Flair, Lex Luger, Ultimo Dragon, and then it had a plethora of other guys. So if you unlock them or just go through the roster right now, they had they were wrestlers that you knew, but they weren't named as them. So like they had Sabu, and he was David Harley. They had Dynamite Kid, but he was something else. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and sidebar this really quick. I am definitely getting all your notes, Yo Omega. Give me a second. WCW versus the World. roster. Cheats. There it is. There it is. Okay. And I can also check out when the hell this came out. There it is. Yeah, that was probably something that really started me in wrestling games and playing nothing but wrestling games. Developed by THQ, who also produced Virtual Pro Wrestling. A lot of the shit was only exclusively to Japan. So Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, the Giant, which is fucked up because it wasn't Paul White the Giant. It looked like his graphic on the roster on the select screen was Paul White, but it was actually Andre the Giant. So that was kind of fucked up. Jeff Jarrett, which I don't remember. Hulk Hogan, Lex Luger, Masahiro Chono, Flair, the Steiner Brothers, Regal, Sting, and Ultimo Dragon. Now, the fictional characters, I'm going to go through a couple of them really quick. There was one called Sherlock, who was Ken Shamrock. This guy named Siberia, who's modeled after Steve Williams, Dr. Death. Steel Talon, Antonio Inoki. The Turk was Dynamite Kid's body with Vader's moves. So they did a lot of that stuff. The Japanese games did a lot of that stuff where they didn't have to pay rights, but they wanted some notable people in there. Terry Funk was called Major Tom. A lot of notable guys on that. But like I said, what really grabbed me in was the initial, the introduction of the grapple system. It was pretty fucking badass. It was really slow moving because at one point I did go back to it, back after I got a PlayStation and then Nintendo 64. It was pretty dope. You had several different fake leagues. Each one of them had a boss and a championship. You could fight for championships. That was pretty cool. Didn't have a tag team. Didn't have a cage match. It was just like the beginning, basically, was WCW versus the world. How about yourself?
What?
How about yourself? When did
Oh,
you start to play the
my-
wrestling game?
Mine was WWF Raw's War.
That was on Sega and Super Nintendo, yes.
PlayStation.
Oh, was it on PlayStation 2?
Yeah.
Raw.
That's when I played it. It was on PlayStation.
Okay.
Like the first PlayStation, I believe. Yeah,
It
you
was
had
just called
memory cards and
WWF.
shit.
WWF Raw. Or was it WWE at that? No, it was WWF.
WWF Raw's War.
Raw is War. Okay, got you. PlayStation. I remember that game. Holy shit, I remember that game. And I
Had Ahmed Johnson and
yeah, so that had the video intros and the video outros
Uh-huh.
for their character, and they talk shit. Yeah, I remember that game. God damn. The controls were fucking horrible.
They were, but one of the thing I love about these games is the creative character, and like we had this crew and we created our characters and we just had fucking tournaments after pay-per-views.
Yes. Yeah, that was pretty fucking fun. They were blocky as fuck. They looked weird as hell, but I think that was the first wrestling game where you could create your own character. And that was a big part of the selling points for me as well.
Yeah, you could make ICP. They had the
Man.
makeup.
Was
'Cause
it?
that's when they popped in with the oddities.
Yeah. Now was that Raw's War or was that Warzone?
Maybe it was Warzone.
All right. Yeah, now I got it. All right. Now I can fuck. They name these games so many different things. It's hard to keep track of them. Warzone. Boom. Stone Cold's on the cover of it.
I don't remember.
Don't remember.
That was like 30 years ago, man. 25 years ago.
The good ones stick with you. The good ones stick with you. All right, Warzone. There we go. All right. That one, oh yeah, they had the in-game voices where they were talking shit to each other. And Gold Dust at the time was the artist formerly known as Gold Dust, and that was wacky as fucking hell. Holy shit. That was a trip. But yeah, You could make your own characters on that shit. I don't remember if there was a championship mode on that or not. There had to have been there had to have been a campaign of some sort on that game.
I don't remember. I mean, because like I said, there was a group of us that would get together and watch pay-per-views and shit, and then we would all take our creator wrestlers and have our own pay-per-view after that, and I get home at like 4 in the morning.
See that? That's badass. That is badass. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there was a wrestling game where you could make your own championship and you could fight each other for championships, and it was back in the memory card era, so you could beat your buddy for his championship belt and run off. It's like, haha, you're never gonna get it back. I'm gonna retire this belt. Bullshit. So that came out in 1998. Acclaim Entertainment. Match types they had submission, pinfall, count out, decree of Vince McMahon, which is if the timeline expires, the player with the most remaining health is sometimes declared winner by default. Interesting. Disqualification versus tag team, cage, hardcore, thank you, Mick Foley, tornado, and the battle royal. Good shit. Undertaker, Goldust, Ahmed Johnson. All right, that had a predecessor, the In Your House series, which was basically, it was like WrestleMania, the arcade game that came out in 94, I believe. That was pretty dope. They used the live action fighters. It was kind of like Mortal Kombat, like the early Mortal Kombat where they had the actual, yeah. It was goofy as hell. It was kind of like, I guess WWF All Stars would be what the now is, or Battlegrounds would be the now. Super cartoony moves, but it was fun. It was fun to play. Did you play any of the wrestling games in arcade?
No.
I know they had WrestleFest and what was the other one? Fuck. Superstars. WWF Superstars. Those were pretty bad at. They're hard as fuck. Because I have one of those emulator things, the arcade sticks, and it's a fucking difficult game. It looks cool, but whatever. Any other wrestling games that make note on your list?
I mean, from there it was just whatever one I could create my best wrestlers.
Right.
One of the common themes about me in video games is I love to create a person.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have a good character creation, fuck it.
There was and it was in the SmackDown series somewhere. I don't remember where, but I made my supervisor from work. What the hell? I made my supervisor from work, and I beat the ever living shit out of that guy with a fucking steel chair. It was great. It was so fucking great. Bloodied, battered. It was one of the SmackDown games. I don't remember which. Another one that had a really good creative wrestler was WWF No Mercy. That was it's arguably everybody's favorite wrestling game as far as the WWE series goes. You ever play that one on N64?
I never had an N64, tell you the truth.
There wasn't a whole. I mean, basically all I had it for was wrestling games because that they weren't available on any of the other consoles. This was also made by THQ. I mean, if it tells you, if it dates me, how long I've been fucking with THQ wrestling games.
So I really didn't branch out into like video gamedom until like I moved out. We were lucky to have an Atari when I was a teenager.
Yeah. I feel you.
So, and then I pretty much went straight into PlayStation. So,
fair enough. Another one that goes alongside No Mercy for me, like I said, was WCW NWO Revenge. And this was basically like the WWF No Mercy game, but WCW did it first. It was one of the avenues that WCW actually whooped WWF's ass.
Well, for a long time, they were making good revenue and was on top. So
Man, the
we should
graphics were
pivot.
really good.
We've been talking about wrestling for a while.
I know. All right, fuck it. I got one more mention because you mentioned it in the comments. It was the video game Def Jam Vendetta. Did you ever play Def Jam Vendetta?
Like
It was
twice.
basically like what WCW NWO Revenge and No Mercy was, but it had famous rappers in it, and it was the same concept as WCW versus the World, where they had just random bodies and they gave them random fucking names, and there was a campaign, and you had to get to the big boss, who was D Mob in the first one, and then
You
Snoop
like
Doggy Dogg in the
you like
second one.
had matches in like the backyard and shit, right?
Yeah, backyard, like a junkyard, all kinds of shit.
Yeah, I
That was
played it
one
like
that
twice.
that was really
Didn't
good
hate
too.
it.
I think they need to come out with another one, but I don't know. With today's rappers, I ain't with that shit. Jesus Christ. So he also says Superstars was an awesome play as Randy Savage or the Ultimate Warrior, and you just ran him back and forth clotheslining people. That was the game Yo Mega's take on wrestling games or fighting games on the Game Boy. I remember it. I never got very far on that. Let's see. All right, we're gonna get to other fighting games that are not wrestling related. All right, so what are some of the other ones that you listed that stood out for you?
So I feel like if we're talking about fighting games, there's two that you should mention because I mean, we already put out Mortal Kombat, but they spawned other media. There's Injustice.
That's on my list.
So they actually spawned actual comic books off of Injustice.
Yeah, I remember reading the first one, but I didn't follow it very hard.
So like they actually hired like comic book writers to do the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't played it, you should play it. It's good fucking story.
It's a great storyline, and I think one, if not both of them, had a Mortal Kombat character in it. I don't remember if it was Sub Zero or Scorpion.
Both of them had Mortal Kombat characters in them. Yep.
There was also the DC versus more. Was it
DC
Mortal Kombat
versus
versus?
Mortal Kombat. Yep.
Okay, so maybe that's one of the ones that I'm thinking of because I remember very vividly that you could pull off fatalities on these characters, and I was just, holy shit, that's fucking wild.
That was a really good game as well. It had a story to it.
Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, like the story doesn't bother me too much. Like if let's go old school, like Street Fighter, for example. Street Fighter 2 is the first one that I played. I didn't give a shit, man. You had all these fighters from all these different countries. I think I played it before Mortal Kombat. So that was like an ongoing overused plot, if you will. There's a Street Fighter. There's a game out there called Street Fighter. I'm sure it was an arcade game as well, but Street Fighter 2 was the one that was always thrown in my face. There was Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Edition, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2, and after that, I just lost interest. I was a Mortal Kombat guy from there.
Yeah, like I said, I was always a button masher. So when it comes to like the ones that you had to come up with all the combos, I was out.
Go online if you get a minute and look up the move sets for games like Tekken. You know, the button combinations
Oh
for
yeah.
just basic fucking moves. Is what would draw me to being a button masher. I don't give a fuck about doing all these flashy moves. You do them accidentally. Like Street Fighter, you had that wicked pile driver that Zangief would do. I never got that to pull off when I wanted it to. It was always at random. It was fucked up. But yeah, some of those games made you a button masher. I liked Mortal Kombat because it was semi easy to pull off some of those moves. It wasn't too complicated. The fatalities that were another story. That
I
was
never,
something. Having
I
it
never got one fatality to work.
in the arcade, not many. On the consoles at home, it became a little bit easier. That was when I got pretty good at writing down all the codes and the moves on paper, and I'd have to like pause the game and look at it really quick. Let's see, Mortal Kombat. We spoke of. Were you a fan of Mortal Kombat?
I was, yeah. I I was a fan of it. I actually, when I was younger, I wrote some fan fiction, like throwing other characters in there, like they do now.
Yeah,
Like I was throwing like the Crow in there, and,
that's
and
dope. See, some of those, no, some of those. I mean, if the right writer and the right producer were to do it, I'd like to see a crossover movie like that or something. They always end up fucking it up. Where did you start with Mortal Kombat? Which one did you start with?
oh, the first one, like
Okay.
my homie down the road actually had a game system, so I would go to his house and we would play Mortal Kombat, and uh, he also had like, oh, this, like, was it RoboCop versus Terminator?
Oh, okay.
But
That was
yeah, that's another genre. But
Jesus Christ.
it was Sega. He had it on Sega. Yeah.
Okay. I started with the Mortal Kombat one as well, and it was revolutionary for me because that was like the game that had the fatalities and shit. Although, Big K Shitty was in here earlier, and he said to make mention of a game called Time Killers. That was the first game with dismemberments. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch some videos on that. But Mortal Kombat was the one that stuck out for me. You could do these fake pull a dude's fucking head off. That's nuts. Setting a dude on fire, uppercutting a guy off a bridge, and impaling him on spikes below. It was nuts. Very basic. It was all right. I'm gonna tell another sidebar story about Mortal Kombat. I had a fucked up Super Nintendo. So my sister, cunt, she was she was not a fan of the eject button that Super Nintendo had. So she would just rip the games out. And over time that eventually,
Oh.
yeah, she eventually bent and broke off one of the connectors or whatever on the inside. And it wouldn't play some games. So Mario Kart, if I drove in the dirt, the water, the game would freeze up. If I was playing, I think there was a game called Tasmania. I was playing 5 seconds. Every time, like clockwork, it would freeze up. Mortal Kombat, I could pick a character, boot up the fight screen. As soon as it said fight, motherfucker would freeze up. So I didn't get to play it proper for a really long time. Eventually, I think I had a Sega, and I played the fuck out of that. That had the infamous blood code, which Super Nintendo had blood, but it was goofy because you could do yellow blood, green blood, orange blood. Did you have any favorite variation of Mortal Kombat?
Not really. No.
All right, so you didn't hold on to it, like stick with everyone that came out, or check out everyone that came out.
Not. It was hit and miss. Like, um, like I said, I'm bad at fighting games, so
Right.
I'm not gonna drop 60, 70 bucks on a fighting game.
I feel you. I feel you. I'm the
Uh,
same way with sports games, honestly. Like there was a point, there was a I forget what year it was. It was PlayStation 2, and I decided to buy a hockey game. I don't fucking watch hockey. So I don't know like anybody's name. I don't know who the good team is, anything. I just picked it up and started playing. I won't be doing that again. I haven't to this day done that again.
that's one of the games I religiously buy.
It was, I want to think it was like 2003, NHL 2003. I picked the team, stuck with it, went through a whole season, went through a second and third season, got the Stanley Cup on the third season, you know. But then it seems like every edition that came out would play different. They would change up the controls a little bit and it wouldn't play as smooth.
Well, those developers got to keep their jobs.
I know.
I mean, they got to justify like coming out with the next edition and not just like swap out players and stats, right? Oh, we got to
Yeah.
change a little bit, you know?
And that's another thing that I always thought was like kind of nuts, man. Like, how do you? Because by the time the game comes out, let's say 2003, you have a whole nother fucking lineup for a team, and that means you got to go buy the new game. You know, you're right. That's where the money comes from, fuckers.
I mean, at least the games now you can connect to the internet and update the current rosters
Okay, that was
Un-
one of the things.
until the next season.
Yeah, yeah. I never understood that, like why they
So
didn't do that with the same thing with wrestling games. You know, like why don't they? Because by the time the wrestling game comes out, their persona, their outfit, their music is completely different, and you
people are
didn't really.
fired, people are dead.
Holy shit! I remember one year of the WWF. It was the SmackDown series right after the Chris Benoit thing, and Vince McMahon had people working double time. Like, I want that motherfucker out of there. He killed people. Can't have him in our game. And the developers like, it's not that easy. We can't just delete. We have to go back in the storylines. We have to go back in the move sets. There's so much to it. God, that was a wild fucking year for wrestling. Let's see. What about you ever played the Tekken series at all?
I've played it. There was I think it was Tekken 4. You could create your own guy.
Really? All right, cool. I don't think I made it that far. I think Tekken 2 and 3 and I was done. I picked up Tekken 7 later on when it was like $20. They revolutionized. They make them different and more modern and more the move set still make me a button masher. I don't care.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, but that's how like Street Fighter is now. That's how they just put out a new Mortal Kombat, and it's completely different. You know, they basically went back to calling it Mortal Kombat One, but it's like the whole setup's completely different. I think the controls, it's just really fucking funky compared to what we grew up with.
Is it easier?
I don't know. I haven't played it. It's on the new gen systems,
Oh.
so
I'll
living through
probably
that.
struggle. My 3-year-old will probably kick my ass.
It's oh no, oh Jesus. So another game that's on my list for fighting games is the UFC series. And I will get the kids involved in that. Like, you know, essentially, if you can button mash, it's one of those games where a simple sucker punch will knock you out. You know, it's not always who's getting their ass beat or who's on the ground. It's sometimes just a sucker punch from out of nowhere, kick from out of nowhere, you know. And my daughter, Lena, kicks my ass every single fucking time. I try and be tactical and block and guard my face and do all these little shimmies or whatever around. Kicks my ass every fucking time. I can see my energy bar getting lower and lower and lower. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna change up my approach. Sock in the face and I'm down. It's over with. There's no getting up. You're done, dude.
Yeah, my oldest whoops my ass when we have we'll throw Injustice in and just have like a tournament. Like whoever wins just keeps going with whoever they won with, and someone else will like pick their person and like
Mm-hmm.
try to dethrone them. She picks Hot Girl.
Okay.
She whoops some ass with Hot Girl.
And some of those games, all that's all you got to do. You got to pick one character, learn a very badass move, and that's all it takes. They just do that over and over and over again. My daughter Piper was getting frustrated, so I had to teach her like, all right, well, the uppercut in Mortal Kombat is really helpful, and then you know just keep doing that, and she
Sweep the leg.
discovered
Sweep the
she
leg.
they don't give a fuck about
Drop
Karate
down, sweep the
Kid.
leg.
But once
You
she
can't
learned
block it.
that, she fucking discovered the brutality fatality in Mortal Kombat. So she was super like, Dad, I knocked his head off. But yeah, games like UFC, she won't fuck with because she gets her ass kicked. She doesn't. It's hard to learn some of the techniques. UFC is I'm mostly just, doing like this and that, trying to duck and shuck and jive, and hopefully I can get a submission on. But yeah, it's too scientifically made for me. Button mash.
So whenever I want to make her look bad, I boot up the old Wii and do the Wii boxing.
Hell yes. That was a good fucking game.
I had to throw that in there.
Um, or like the fencing. I always like the fencing too. You can get a little scientific and try and do your parries and
That's that's not button mashing. And then they get too close, and then you really fuck them up.
In the living room, no less. I've done that a couple times too. Whack them with the fucking control stick in the living room because they got too close. You don't have to be this close.
What'd you learn?
Dad rules at the Wii. I'm a puny mortal. What were some fighting games that you absolutely hated? I know that you said like we just discussed a couple because your kid kicks your ass. But are there any other ones that really stuck out there? You're like, absolutely not. I'm not fucking with that game at all.
Uh, a lot. So there was one that I tried because there is no really good like Marvel fighting games, but there's a Marvel versus Capcom. I I didn't
Okay.
like that one. It's There was a tag in, tag out. I mean, I enjoy fighting
Ooh.
games.
All right. Yo Mega's mentioning quite a bit of awesome ones. I do remember he goes back to the Mortal Kombat 2 because that was awesome for all the secrets, replaying, doing fatalities, secret unlocks. Um, man, I want to think. I want to think Mortal Kombat 2 is probably my favorite modern one or back in the day one. But I think I'm hooked on the it's got to be Mortal Kombat 11. Um, let's see. Then they started Mortal Kombat. Not to go sidebar on Mortal Kombat, but they started putting in special characters too, like Freddy Krueger, Jason, Leatherface, Alien, Predator. I think some other games did that. We were talking about Injustice and Marvel, or not Marvel, Mortal Kombat versus DC.
I,
Shit.
I think I think one of the ones that we're skipping over is that has a huge following, um, because it's like all ages, and that's Smash
Yeah.
Brothers.
Yep, that's on my list because I never fuck with Smash Brothers. Like I never play. I think I played Mario Party once, but Smash Brothers is one that's always kind of eluded me. Now, is that something you can play by yourself, or do you have to have multiple players on that?
I think you can play the computer.
Okay, I guess I might have to check out that on the Nintendo Switch eventually. I
I
never fucked with it.
I never played it. I watched it.
Okay,
I am I'm gonna blasphemy, but I was never big into the Nintendo um like intellectual properties. I'm not a big Mario fan or Donkey Kong fan or um yeah. So
all right. Yo Mega also chimes in. He said you it was great, but you needed your actual friends to play. You can play one versus three computer. So yeah, that's I think that's one of the reasons that stymied me is because like everybody was smoking weed and shit. Nobody wanted to play video games. We're going outside, man. Fuck video games. And now that's all I hear about. Like everybody's super hardcore into Smash Brothers. I just never got into it. Jesus Christ. Shit. I mean, it's not a fighting game, but it caused a lot of fights. It was Mario Kart.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's like the one like Nintendo property. Like, you get drunk and play Mario Kart.
Well, I didn't have that opportunity until I was way later because, like I said, that Nintendo was fucked because that cunt couldn't use the eject button properly and she fucked our system up. Real Bout Fatal Fury specials. See, that's another thing. I remember playing Fatal Fury, but like all the sidebar ones where they would do like Street Fighter Alpha or Super Fatal Fury Special, like there was just too many of those to keep up with. It was really difficult. Some of
I
those.
I really wanted to get my my boy James to join us. Um, he does his own podcast about all about nerd shit and stuff, but he is all about fighting games. He's got special joystick and stuff for every console that he gets. But
Well, where the fuck is James?
he's in Texas fucking working.
Oh, see, punk ass. You don't get the indigenous people day off. That sucks. But I don't have any pity for you. Your job sucks. Ha ha ha. Let's see. Fighting games, Xbox original multiplayer, 1 versus 2 or 2 versus 2 was Mech Assault. I don't recall that either. Man, there was just too many. There was just always too many fighting games from the 90s on. It was just really fucking hard to keep up with. It became that way with the wrestling games too.
So I'm surprised, since we're talking about fighting games and like ones you have to co-op, they haven't brought up Turtles.
You know what? I am not gonna lie. I was in the process of writing my notes down before we went live here. I totally dropped the ball. Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
We got well, it wasn't a fighting game.
I
Well,
mean, you were fighting, but you were cooperative fighting.
all right, we can throw that on a special mention. Turtles co-op, ultimate, hands down. If we ever do a list of favorite video games of all time, that's at the tippy top. I'm still playing that fucking game on the Nintendo Switch. Cowabunga Collection is probably, if you're a Turtle fan at all, that's the ultimate pickup. It has every single Turtle game from the arcade. It's got some Game Boy games on there, Sega, and it's still hard as fuck. I still have not beaten the original Nintendo. Oh man, I could go on for hours about how much I hate this fucking game at the same time as loving it. The original Nintendo game, where it was single player and you could switch between the turtles. You'd think that it would be easier. No, it's not. It's just as frustrating. It doesn't become any easier. They also have an option where you can rewind. So if you get hit too many times, you're like, fuck that. I think you can rewind up to 30 seconds. And if you keep, you know, how back in the day in Nintendo games, those jumps were crucial in some games, Mario and such. You can rewind if you miss it and try it over and over and over and over again. That still doesn't help me complete this game any closer. I mean, I do feel a little bit better the fact that, you know, little sister cunt can't run by and bump the console because that was pretty bad for Nintendo. I don't have to worry about a memory card. I don't have to worry about any of the shit that we had to worry about back in the day. But it's still a very fucking difficult game. So still fun. Still very fun. Very frustrating. Yes. Soul Calibur, Tekken 2. And then after a while, some of these fighting games just kind of seem the same. They all merge together. Virtual Fighter, King of the Fighters. Another special mention. You ever play Killer Instinct?
Yeah.
What was your assessment of that? Did you like that?
I mean, it still was a fighting game, but I really liked the characters.
Okay. Because I think I didn't fuck with Killer Instinct. I was already hooked into the likes of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And then when I got to Killer Instinct, I was like, man, this is just a ripoff of Street Fighter, and because it had finishing moves, but a lot of the characters just kind of reminded me of other characters from those games. Like you had was it TK or TJ combo, the boxer? Because
Uh,
there was because there was a boxer on Street Fighter named Balrog, and then you had Cinder, who just reminded me of Scorpion, and then you had Glacier, who just reminded me of Sub Zero.
yeah, but there was like a werewolf guy or something, right?
God damn it! I believe you're correct, but I don't remember his fucking name. Killer Instinct. On it was on shit. It was on Nintendo 64. It was on arcade. I know that they tried really hard to compete with Mortal Kombat with the finishing moves and such. I don't remember if there was blood or not. There was a skeleton guy. There we go. Characters. Dun, 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 dun. List of Killer Instinct characters. No, this is just going to give me the current roster. I'm sure.
I think what attracted me to it is like the characters seem more evil.
Black Orchid, Chief Thunder, Cinder, Falgor. I think Falgor was like an eye. Let me double check. Glacius, Jago, Riptor. He was the reptilian. Saberwolf. Spinal was the okay, cool. Spinal was the skeleton, and it looks like Saberwolf was the wolf. So there we go. Very nice. I haven't played anything updated from that, so maybe it's gotten better over time. Who knows? But like I said, that was one I never fucked with very much at all. It came with a Super Nintendo that I had at that time. That's the only reason I played it. But yeah, I was a Mortal Kombat Street Fighter guy. Forevermore. I think that's about it. I don't have anything else on my list. Is there anything else that we're forgetting?
I'm sure there's a billion other ones. That's like I said. That's why I wanted to try to like snag my boy James, because
Yeah.
like he even watches like the competitions and shit.
Yeah.
With
Holy
all the
shit. Holy shit. I'd be frustrated as hell. I'd be screaming from the sidelines, "You dumb asshole! Power up! There's a power up right behind you."
And yeah, he would have really much contributed to the conversation, but
we can always revisit this in a different variation. I'm sure, like, we're gonna come back to this eventually. Did you guys hit Time Killers? Kevin, we did. I had to go through my list, and I have it written down, brother, right there. I'm not versed in Time Killers. I don't think I even heard of Time Killers until you brought it up. So I'm gonna have to go back and I'm gonna have to YouTube the fuck out of that. You mentioned all the wrestling games though, man. Nintendo Revenge or any NWO Revenge and WCW versus the World, No Mercy, all that shit. Yo Mega's been super helpful in the chat. So I hope Yo Mega has subscribed and he comes back, man. I like those. He was like the main contributor on the comments. A lot of ones I probably would have forgotten if he didn't say anything. Virtual Fighter, Mortal Kombat 2, Clay Fighters. And that was another one that came out, and by that time I was hooked on Mortal Kombat. So
Clay Fighters, that's the one where you were just clay, right?
Yeah. See, I heard there's been a lot of people that have brought that up, but like I said, I was more into Mortal Kombat. I had my specific. There was another game in that realm. It was Primal Rage, where you were dinosaurs.
Yep, I remember that one.
And there was there was one fatality where you could pee on the other guy. That was entertaining. That was entertaining as fuck. That was before all the parents out there got so sensitive. They can't expose their little Jimmy to this nonsense. But never played Clay Fighter. I think I just completely disregarded a lot of games, basically because the presentation. I like Mortal Kombat better. I like Blood and Guts and all that crazy shit. WrestleFest. Remember WrestleFest? Royal Rumble. And I think that's about it, man. So if anybody else doesn't have anything to add that we may have missed, Clay Fighters Frosty was great. All right, man. He knows the names too. One Must Fall. So see, man. Oh man, a lot of these ones just fell out of my wheelhouse.
Flash your titties.
Killer Instinct had a finisher where you could flash your titties and it would kill somebody because they were gross looking. Probably, I remember in those days when you had these rumored moves, like you had rumored new dowdies in Mortal Kombat 2 that you could only do in the arcade that weren't real. And then I remember doing this move. It was with Orchid. She would flash you, but you couldn't see anything. It was like one of those classic movie things where you could see her back and you could see her open her shirt, but that was it. So it was kind of lame. But yeah, I remember. Rival School.
I mean, I would knock somebody out if I flashed my titties. Put them away!
Ultra Combo Boob Job. Jesus Christ, man. All right. I think we're done. We fucking covered quite a bit. I think we'll eventually revisit this at some time.
If someone gave me a boob job, someone be covered.
What the fucking hell, man? All right. Since everybody's already starting a day drink, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. Thank you, El Taco, the Mighty Taco, for joining. Yeah. We'll see at some point if we can't get a hold of James and revisit this topic. I have no problem going over the same shit either. If he's got more to add,
he would totally school us in all this knowledge. 100%.
Awesome sauce. So thank you to Yo Mega for joining the chat and all your input. That's appreciated. And Big K Shitty, Killer Instinct. Okay, I already read that one. We got time killers, motherfucker. I'm looking through YouTube videos right now. But until next time, I am the D, and that is the Almighty Taco.
Yeah.
Check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, share.
Do all the things.
Yeah, do all the things. Share on the show so you'll be cursed.
Give him money. Patreon.
Give to me the money. It's the Patreon. Very nice, very evil. I'm still working on the picture for Mr. Brian. It will be very evil. Yes. Lots of golden axe. We're done, man. Hold on to it. Make a list. We're done. But yeah. Go check out the YouTube page. I have a lot of topics penciled in. It might not necessarily be on the Sunday, and it might record one instead of doing live, but keep an eye out for what's coming. Other than that, be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes.
Play video games.
Play video games. Just not the dumb ones. That's so loud. Hey, guys. Catch you next time.
Later,
Peace
bro.
out.